Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohoes, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets. Hey, you want to know how to coup a country? So here's Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut. He went to the steps of USAID to tell the truth about how USAID protects America and the real reason Elon Musk wants to shut it down. You want to hear this garbage? Listen to this.
Elon Musk has been floating all sorts of awful, terrible conspiracy theories about what happens at USAID. Let's make it very clear that every single day, America is safer because of what happens at USAID. USAID fights terrorist groups all across this world, making sure that we address the underlying causes for a retreat to terrorism. USAID chases China all around the world, making sure that China doesn't monopolize contracts for critical minerals and port infrastructure all around the world.
What?
It supports freedom fighters everywhere in this world. Up until yesterday, delivering firewood, for instance, to the brave Ukrainian defenders on the Eastern Front.
What?
So that's the kind of great stuff that USAID does. Hey, you want to know what they really do? How far is the United States willing to go to block African collaboration? Here, in this video clip, Mike Benz revealed that a destabilization training initially published by the U.S. 1st Special Forces Command. Well, let's just play it. Let's just play it.
Everyone can look this up if you're listening right now. In 2021, the U.S. Special Forces Perspective, under Mark Milley, our chairman of the Joint Chiefs, put out an entire instruction manual for how the U.S. military can work with the State Department and our intelligence services to organize a rent-a riot, to destabilize a country in order to bring them to the negotiating table. They gave an example of a hypothetical West African country where a member of U.S. Special Forces is on a separate mission, driving down a highway, and notices a billboard for Chinese infrastructure investment into a new port in this Western African country. The unit takes note of this billboard on a highway in Western Africa with Chinese symbols on it. They do their own investigation and figure out that this is part of a real estate development project from Chinese investors that as part of that development project will have the construction of a Chinese naval port in this West African country, where in theory, China would then be able to project naval influence in the Atlantic Ocean. What the Special Forces Guide calls for is coordination with the State Department, coordination with our intelligence services, coordination with our psychological operations unit to take all of our assets in that West African region. And in that case, what they did is they planned to work with the unions. What they did is they embarked in a social media influence campaign. They would activate all their media assets, all of their civil society institutional assets, and all their union assets to have the union labor pool in that West African country. Well, actually, there was one thing that happened first, is they first then went, in this hypothetical, the State Department sent a delegation to persuade the West African country to forbid the development license to the Chinese developer. And the head of that West African government said no. Because something was happening in the hypothetical in the next 30 days, there was a time sensitivity to generate an instability event to stop this using time-sensitive emergency. And so the way they generated that was they worked with their union contacts in the region and the media contacts in the region and created this whole social media campaign to inflame the sentiments of the West African labor union workforce who were working for Chinese companies at the time. Because in this hypothetical, the Chinese mining firms and Chinese industry, was employing a lot of these Africans. And it was to destabilize the country, to bring the mines, to bring the factories, to bring all of the Chinese production in the region to a halt, and to put all these Africans out of jobs and to bring the African government effectively to a standstill. At the same time, in their own Special Forces manual, it called for support from USAID to provide these same striking miners alternative jobs so that while they were striking from the Chinese labor companies, they were still getting paid by U.S. taxpayers. So they were financially bribed effectively to boycott Chinese industry and to devastate their own country's government, create this crisis, and then use the State Department delegation to go back to the negotiating table with the West African government and promised to end the destabilization if the development was halted. And in that hypothetical, the West African government then rejects the license for the real estate development of China, and that is declared as an unalloyed success by the U.S. Special Forces and their partner network in the State Department and Intelligence. And this is the way of our diplomacy in 2021. And this is all publicly available if you look at the Special Forces prospectus. And when this goes live, I'll post this on my X account at Mike Ben Cyber so that you can, don't take my word for it.
So that's what USAID does. It creates instability. It uses millions and millions of your taxpayer dollars for propaganda through social media, through invented newspaper and news outlets that are there only to push propaganda, to destabilize, to cause riots, to destabilize other countries so we can force our will on them. And not the will of the United States citizen, the will of the economic hitmen who actually run USAID and the CIA and our government. Here it is. Confess. Ever wonder how the United States subverts democracy and the aspirations of other countries? Well, here's a guy who's going to tell you. Here's the economic guy who was an economic hitman is going to tell you.
We will identify a third world country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, and then arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. But the money never goes to the country. Instead, it goes to our big corporations to build infrastructure projects, power plants, highways, industrial parks, things that benefit a few very rich people in that country, as well as our own corporations, but don't help the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity, don't have the skills to get jobs in industrial parks, don't own cars to drive on the highways. And yet those very people, the whole country is left holding a huge debt so that it can't pay for education and social services and health care for its people. In fact, the debt is so huge by intent that at some point we economic hitmen go back and we say, listen, you owe us a lot of money. You can't repay your debts, so sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies without regard to the environment. Vote with us on the next critical United Nations vote. Send troops in support of ours to some place in the world like Iraq. And in that way, we've created this empire. On the few times when we economic hitmen fail, as I talk about in the books, as I failed in Ecuador with Jaime Roldos and in Panama with Omar Torrijos, then the jackals go in. And these are men, maybe a few women, who overthrow governments or assassinate their leaders. And if the jackals fail, which is what happened in Iraq, both the economic hitmen and the jackals failed with Saddam Hussein, then and only then does the military go in.
So that's how this works.
So wait a minute. All these like terrible dictators we've heard about for all these years that are paranoid and they're trying to purge people because they think the U.S. has spies out there to get them. That's because they're in the jackal phase, and is that what that is?
That is right. You are correct, Kirk. That is what they say.
That is not a joke. That's a straight fact.
That is not a joke.
Come on, I'm serious.
Serious. U.S. troops pull from Chad and Niger as the African nations question its counterterrorism role. So whatever you think about Elon Musk or Donald Trump, you will know them by their fruits. So right now, the fruits are they seem to be dismantling this type of U.S. government imperialism around the world. That's what it looks like. It looks like Donald Trump is going to leave Europe to defend itself against the Russia, which Russia has no interest in invading any of their countries. But Trump is going to do all this garbage with Israel and Gaza, which I think will be the undoing of his presidency. We'll see. It's certainly everybody says, no, he's not planning on doing any of that stuff, he said, Jimmy. He's just bluffing to get a better deal from Hamas. Well, they slaughtered 200,000 of them. Isn't that enough they flattened all of Gaza? Isn't that enough? He needs more to get a better deal from Hamas? No, he's just rolling over for Israel. We're going to get to that story. But
Witta Adelson. It was the last wishes of Witta Adelson.
yes. So when you hear Chris Murphy say stuff like he just said, he's a garbage person who is selling out the U.S. public, and of course he's pushing actual fascism. And when fascism comes to America, you think they're going to say they're fascists, or you think they're going to say they're fighting fascism? That's what he's saying. We're over there helping the good people of Ukraine fight against Russian No, you're over there. First of all, the people of the government of Ukraine is fascist. They banned all the political parties.
Vote.
They banned all the opposition media. What's that, Kurt?
They're not having elections.
They don't have elections.
So they're taking, burning down the churches.
Yeah.
It's back to Soviet style stuff now.
The exact opposite of what they claim to be, of course. And so you have people, these pieces of garbage. There's Jamie Raskin. I was supposed to do a story about his wife is completely corrupted, and with USAID, and so that's why he's defending it. These are all garbage. This is what's wrong with the government. That's
the mafia.
It's
all
a mafia.
that manual is standard Italian mafia.
That's right.
Oh, you want the union trouble to go away?
You want your union trouble to go away.
It couldn't be more obvious that's what it is. So this is like don't you care about the family? Like, well, fuck all of you.
Hey, look.
I understand, I don't like Elon or not like him. I don't know the guy. I don't care about him. I think he works for Trump. I don't think Trump works for Elon. I don't believe that. I've never seen Trump not fire people when he wanted to fire people, ever. Where's Vivek? He's still been missing.
You're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
Yeah, we should play that sound clip effect when we want people fired from now on. I mean, honest to God, I don't, when you do something I want, great. That's great. I don't care about your feelings or your anything. I care about what you actually did.
Yes.
So I don't trust any of them like they're Jesus Christ. I wouldn't recommend anybody did that.
Our sponsors, Colonial Metals Group, helped me with my goal of protecting my financial future. Being at the whim of the stock market or the current administration doesn't make me feel safe or secure, but having a self-directed IRA where I can safely store gold and silver, assets that have stood the test of time, no matter what the economy or the government policies are, makes sense to me. Colonial Metals Group has helped me create a self-directed IRA where I can have direct access to my assets. Let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. Their level of professionalism and ability to listen make it easy for you to learn everything you need to know about preserving all you've worked for. Maybe you're just getting started, or maybe you're already in a 401k or an IRA, or you're thinking about your parents' retirement. Regardless, Colonial Metals Group can help. We put together a special offer for our audience. Click on the link in the description below or call our special 800 number and you can receive a safe and up to $7,500 in free silver. That number is 888-910-1419. We love working with Colonial Metals. I chose them when I purchased my gold and silver for my retirement. No matter who you choose to purchase precious metals from, make sure you know the fees up front and what their markup is, and make sure you're getting a competitive price. Come see us on tour in Dallas, Austin, Baltimore, Hartford, Connecticut, Syracuse, New York, Atlantic City, Levittown, Cohoes, and Providence, Rhode Island. Go to jimmydore.com for the link for the cheapest tickets.